You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Happy to be back here on this Thursday, not in the morning this time, in the evening, like mentioned in last episode. Our evening episodes are going to go Thursdays now, making Thursdays an evening episode instead of a morning episode. And this episode brought to you by Evolve Green, AETi, TOVI Hockey, Caisse Financial, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. It's going to be a great show tonight. I got 4 guests that are going to be joining me on the show. We got a new segment lined up for you guys called Seth's Inside Scoop. We'll get into what that is later, but we got a lot to talk about with Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and joining me first is going to be one of their alumni, former captain on the team, captain of that 2018-19 team, Matty Harold. Tonight in this interview with Matty, I'm going to speak to him about his time in Pilot-Mound, going to reflect on that a bit, and also touch about, his time playing in the MJHL and some other places in junior, as he's now playing on the Steinbach Pistons in the MJHL. So without further ado, please welcome and joining in the first guest on tonight's episode, Matty Harold, former Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U17 player and now a forward for the Steinbach Pistons, here on ASTV Productions on Coffee with Graeme. And joining me now on Coffee with Graeme is Matty Harold, former player for the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy Buffalo's U17 team. He's now playing in the MJHL with the Steinbach Pistons. Matty joined me here on tonight's edition of the show. And first time meeting you, Matty. How's it going? How have things been going this year for you in junior?
No, thanks for having me. It's been a crazy year, much different than last year. A bit more normal feeling, having some fans in the buildings. I think that's been the biggest thing. And obviously, I'm in my final year and trying to make the most of that. So I think as a team, we've had a great start, and things are going really, really well for me right now.
That's great to hear. And of course, with it being your final year, you want to make it a good one, right? You're off to a start with 2 assists in 7 games so far. We'll get into that more later on in the show, just touching on your junior career a bit. But talking about Pilot-Mound, you spent 2 years in the academy playing for that team, starting off in 2017-18. Talk about why at the time you chose Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy as that next place to play hockey.
Honestly, before going to Pilot-Mound, I wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do with hockey, really with life. It was kind of referred to me from another alumni in Pilot-Mound who had really made the most of his time there and loved it. So he convinced me to come out for a skate. And before then, honestly, I wasn't totally sure what was going to happen. And I left Pilot-Mound that day knowing I wanted to be a part of that program. Put pen to paper, and next thing you know, I was living the 2 probably best years of my life.
That's great to hear. Obviously, you put up a lot of points with that team. You guys had good success, even though you guys didn't end up getting that championship while you were a part of the team. But talk about that player who, told you to come down for some skates with Pilot-Mound.
I grew up actually in Lorette, Manitoba. This player, Kyle Moore is his name, had come from Nova Scotia and joined Lorette. I'd grown up with him. He was an amazing hockey player. And he made the jump from Eastman to Pilot-Mound, and had a ton of success there. And I tried to follow in those footsteps, making that jump to Pilot-Mound, really not knowing what I was wanting to do. And I'm really glad that he had convinced me to come out for that skate. But yeah, I looked up to him in my first year, and I think I learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot from the other veterans on the team, giving me every opportunity that I had in my final year with the academy.
You said when you left that day when you went to Pilot-Mound, you knew that was the place you wanted to play, right? You signed pen to paper, but when you were down there, of course, a nice facility over there at Blackjack Stewart Arena. They got the campus and stuff like that. But talk about what it was that drew you the most to this academy for you to decide after that day that would be the next place for you to play.
I think the thing that was really eye-opening to me was the people that run it. They care about you. You're not a number there. You're a name. You mean something to them, and they provide everything from the schooling to the on-ice activity that you're just not going to get anywhere else, giving you every opportunity to be a better player and honestly a better person. So I just knew, the facility was definitely a big part of it. I fell in love with that arena as soon as I stepped foot in it, and I still keep in touch with all the staff and the people that are associated with the academy. And yeah, honestly, looking back, it was definitely the best choice I think I've ever made in my hockey career.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And for you to still be in contact with them to this day, with it being your last year in 2018-19, just speaks volumes about what they're doing over there at Pilot-Mound. And, like you said, not treating you like you're just a number, treating you like, you're actually a person, which is great. Getting to play at that level, getting to be on the ice every day, just talk about those experiences in your first year, getting to have that type of workload and playing against the type of competition you guys played against.
Well, absolutely. I think our schedule was really demanding. It took a lot out of you. I think being on top of your schoolwork was a big part of it, because that displayed on the ice, I believe. But no, I mean, I think the schedule, yeah, hectic. You're playing against some pretty amazing places, and I think one of the things I enjoyed the most was the exposure that I got for obviously my post midget season, having to decide where I wanted to play juniors, and getting to travel was amazing, and do it with 22 of my best friends was the best part about it all.
Diving more into that, getting to play with the players you got to play with, talk about what it was first like, meeting them, and as the year went along, how you guys bonded as a group in that first season you were at Pilot-Mound.
Well, my first season, they had come off another extremely successful year. Um, I wanted to be a part of that winning culture, and then really learn what it's like to be at that top level. And as soon as I got there and I was watching these guys, I knew I could be a part of that and push to be the best player and person I could be. So I think growing with that team, we had the team to do it. Had trouble in playoffs both my years, which was frustrating. But I mean, to this day, I still have best friends on that team that I keep in touch with every single day. And I mean that means the world to me, having those types of friends, and I can reflect on all my amazing times I had with the academy, and honestly, that's all because of them and the opportunities they gave us.
Yeah, for sure. You obviously had a lot of opportunity out there to grow, not only off the ice but on the ice. Let's talk about that on the ice growth that you felt you experienced in that first year, in terms of just coming in as the player you were and how it looked in your game once you went through, that whole season in that first year with Pilot-Mound.
Absolutely. I think in terms of my game, I had went into the academy more of a high school hockey player, not totally sure. I think that was honestly that could have been it for me, and I was immediately picked up by Rod and Rick and Ernie, who, I mean, gave me every opportunity to get better, pushed me every day. Rod in my first year, particularly, and Rick in my second year, having Ernie by their side. But no, I mean, pushing myself, being on the ice every day was huge. And I think I grew my confidence back in the game, getting away from the politics that I might have had to deal with back home. Um, getting a Pilot-Mound and not having to worry about that, and knowing that working hard is going to get me somewhere felt amazing. And I mean, I owe it all to those guys who gave me all the tools to make myself get where I am today.
Now talking about the off the ice growth, just growing, maturing in that first year with the academy, how you felt that went for yourself.
Yeah, I think I always say, I mean, moving away at the age I moved away at taught me a lot. A lot of independence in my life now. I mean, I've had to move a good amount. Nothing, nothing new to me, and I think growing off the ice, learning how to be independent, being away from home. But at the same time, I have to say I did have pretty good support crew there, and you knew there was always someone to go home and talk to, which was super important. But no, the growth off the ice was amazing. I think I always say, like, it matured me as a person so much, and I can see that.
For you guys, like you said, always had the team, but felt like, you guys just couldn't quite get over that mountain, just had some trouble in the playoffs, but heading into that 2018-19 season, after having the year you did before, having 48 points in those 61 games played, you put up 101 points in 65 games. An insane season there, an insane stat line. Just speak about, first off, how it started before, the off season you had coming into that year to get to the level you were at in that season.
Well, yeah, even my first year, that was better than I had ever thought I could. That was better than I had ever thought I could be. So that even those points really pushed me, surprised me, and I knew I could do something past that point. I think the summer prior to Pilot-Mound, still wasn't sure where I wanted to go with this, so I wasn't as involved maybe in the off season. But following my first year with the academy, I really got to work and started to realize, I mean, what the end goal was, which was to make junior hockey team one of the best programs where I am now. And I think yeah, pushing myself off the ice and on the ice all summer, following that first season was the big point for me, and then that escalated into the next season where I got to really display that, and just kind of took off and didn't look back.
Yeah, for sure. Getting the numbers exactly: 55 goals, 46 assists for 101 points in those 65 games. Pretty nice stat line to look at. I won't lie there, Matty. But, having that year of experience, getting to play against that top level the year before, of course, you come in as a more developed, more complete player in that second season. Just speak about how having that year of experience the year before, of playing against the competition you guys did, really helped in that way of continuing to have success in that second year.
I think playing against the players that I played against my first year played a huge role in it. Um, I learned so many aspects of the game that my coaches had taught me. that really, really helped my game, that I still use to this day. I still use a number of those things today, that I learned at Blackjack Stewart Arena, and I think another big part of it was playing with the players I played with in Pilot-Mound that first year. Those were the ones that pushed me. I strive to be like them, and I mean, a number of them are still playing at the highest level to this day, which is something that I knew I wanted to be a part of, that type of hockey, and yeah, so I think those guys, the competition and my own team was competition. It pushed me every day to get to that level, and yeah, like we talked about, I think that was the turning point. That's when I knew I wanted to run with it and do something with the sport. And I'm just thankful for all the opportunities I got, because I mean, if I looked, and that was a year later, uh, might not have been the same story. Could have been cut off with COVID, like the other team got. So I think it happened to me at the perfect time. Couldn't have asked for a better season or a better group of guys.
Well, one of those other experiences you had was getting to wear that C. Of course, a lot of players say the letter doesn't really change much, but I mean, for you, just from where you came from before to, have the type of season you did, and also started off with getting named the captain of the team, just talk about what that moment was like, what that experience was like wearing the C for Pilot-Mound in that second year.
I mean, it was really special, really special. It showed a lot, that my coach had faith in me, to lead that team, and I think I really learned a lot from it. You don't get a lot of opportunities like that to lead such a successful, awesome organization. So I think I took advantage of it, um, used it as best as I could. Really tried to lead our team to something, and I think we did have a great year. And at times it was difficult. I mean, you live with these guys 24 hours a day, so sometimes it was hard to be the captain and the friend at the same time. But I mean, I learned around that, and no, it was a huge honor to me to wear that in Pilot-Mound, and I just hope that the younger ones could learn something from me.
Yeah, and like you said, you had a chance to learn from a lot of good, talented players the year before, and it seems like there were a lot of players you could lean on that were older in that first season you had. How did you feel like those experiences in that first year of what you learned from the vets in that first season really helped you be the type of captain you were in that season?
I think I think I learned how to be tough, how to deal with stuff. I mean, you got to be thick-skinned. I mean, Rod's one of the best coaches. Well, one of the best coaches I've ever had. Um, and he's tough, but I mean that's what I needed, and he made me a much better hockey player. So I think the other guys teaching me, just resilience and working hard day in and day out. Um, there's no real quit. We all had that end goal. It didn't work out like we wanted to in Penticton, and I think that still probably haunts some of us. But at the same time, I think I learned from our leadership group that my first year, really how I took notes. I learned how to, because I wanted to be in that position the following year, and really how to run a team. So no, I owe it to those guys as well.
You know, Looking back at it now, obviously, like you said, you still stay in touch with the people at Pilot-Mound. Those were, like you said, two of the best years of your life playing hockey. But if you had to look back at one thing, look actually starting with this one, how playing in Pilot-Mound for yourself really helped open the door to have the type of chance you've had to play that at that junior level.
I tell people this all the time. I went in as a high school hockey player. and I left as a junior hockey player ready to make that jump. I still think, I mean, I don't even know what I could have done with another year if I had went a year earlier. But I mean, I can't look at the past, can't dwell on that. But I think opportunities and skills, abilities that I learned there that I would have never learned back home. Really, for the player I was, it was the best chance to make it to where I am today. So without that experience, I can say with certainty I would definitely not be where I am today.
One last question before we let you go here, because we are running a bit late on time. Just got to get if there is one in particular, you could give me, 3 different if you want, but a favorite memory or 2 or 3 from your time in Pilot-Mound, a memory that you'll remember forever, in your opinion.
Probably the bus trips to Penticton. Honestly, you look forward to those all year, knowing that in the spring, that's when you got to really put in the work, and I think those were the best memories I think I could think of. Other than that, I mean, meeting the people I got to meet in the community, in the staff, that all people that are still a huge part of my life today. So I think, as far as memories, that would be the 2 biggest things that I remember.
Well, Matty Harold, put up an insane stat line in the second season, one of Pilot-Mound's strongest players when he was playing on that team. An alumni now playing his final year of junior hockey in Steinbach with the Steinbach Pistons in the MJHL. Matty, thanks for taking the time out of your Thursday night and joining the show. Hope to talk again to you in the future about maybe your junior career next time.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You take care, Matty. Stay safe.
See you later.
And Matty Harold, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy alumni, joining this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I was going to dive into his junior career in this episode a bit more. We briefly, if anything, barely touched on it. But there's just so much to talk about with Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, his time there. And obviously his time in Pilot-Mound meant a lot to him. Like he said, opened the door to play at that junior level, really allowed him to grow as a player, and really like he said, the best years of his life in hockey. I think he said in his life in general, which is just truly special when an organization is able to have that effect on a player like Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy has had on so many. So yeah, great to talk to a player like Matty Harold, a player that's so skilled. And yeah, like I said, I hope to have him on the show again in the future and we can talk about his junior hockey career. But we're going to take our next commercial break here. After the next commercial break, it's going to be the debut of a new segment here on Coffee with Graeme called Seth's Inside Scoop. You want to know what Seth's Inside Scoop is about? You'll have to wait until after this first commercial break, when we'll be back with the man who is the segment Seth's Inside Scoop. Seth Rock, ASTV Productions color commentator, joined me in a pre-recorded segment here after the commercial break, coming up on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around, everyone.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I was just joined by Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U17 Male alumni Matty Harold in the first interview of tonight's episode, just talking about Matty's time playing with Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. He played 2 seasons there, had an insane season in his second year, 101 points in 65 games. Incredible. He's playing for the Steinbach Pistons now in the MJHL. So, yeah, in his final season of junior, he's looking to make it a good one for sure. So welcome back to the show, everybody. Like this comment says, put up by us, if you guys, like the show, and please share it. If you guys have enjoyed the show up until this point, feel free to give it a like, give it a thumbs up or a reaction on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like it as well. And any platform you guys are watching it on, Twitter as well. If you're watching it, retweet it, like it, share it on Facebook, share the link from YouTube with your family and friends, because we do want to get more eyes, more views on the show to get the word out there about the great athletes that we do feature on not only this show, Coffee with Graeme, but our other shows here on the network, our many other shows on the network. But we're going to now throw it to a new segment here on Coffee with Graeme. This segment will be happening every Thursday. Like the segment Off the Wall with Cody, where Cody Wall joins me. We're doing something similar with one of our other color commentators here on the network, Seth Rock. So the breakdown of this segment, it's going to be obviously different than Cody's, but it's called Seth's Inside Scoop. It's where Seth Rock will be joining the show weekly here on Thursdays, and what he's going to be doing is giving his preview of the upcoming weekend games, or the upcoming games coming up on the network, and also giving a breakdown of the teams that will be involved in those games, as well as touching a bit on the past game for these teams, but mostly previewing the games and breaking down the teams, previewing the upcoming games for these teams. But yeah, Seth joined me in the first ever edition of Seth's Inside Scoop here on Coffee with Graeme. Earlier today, we reshot it because we had to include both Pembina Valley and Swift Current, because those are the 2 teams that will be playing here on the network this weekend. And yeah, me and Seth had a chance to talk about Pembina Valley's team, their matchups coming up this weekend, their roster, a bit about their past games last weekend, and he also did the same for Swift. And he also gives you guys 2 players, one from Swift Current and one from Pembina Valley, for who you should be watching on the ice this weekend. So we're going to roll it now. The first ever edition of Seth's Inside Scoop here on ASTV Productions. And my apologies, everyone. I just got to find it here. That is not the one I exported. Just going to take a moment. But, lots of great stuff coming up here on the network this weekend on ASTV Productions. Of course, Pembina Valley and the Swift Current Wildcats will be in action this weekend here on the network. So if you have some time on your Saturday and Sunday, be sure to check out those games. The Pembina Valley Hawks taking on the Winnipeg Arrows and Interlake Lightning on Saturday and Sunday, and Swift Current, the Wildcats, taking on both of the Prince Albert Northern Bears in both of those games. So we got this segment ready to go now. Without further ado, let's bring on Seth Rock right now on Seth's Inside Scoop here on ASTV. And here he is, Seth Rock, ASTV Productions color commentator, joining me on his segment, Seth's Inside Scoop. We're going to be talking about two teams in this one, Pembina Valley, which is the Pembina Valley Hawks and the MFHL, and then talking about a Saskatchewan Female Hockey League AAA team as well that we cover here on the network, the Swift Current Wildcats. But before we start off, Seth, how's it going? How have things been with you? How have things been going with you, man?
Yeah, things have been going pretty good. Got a break from that big weekend stuff we had with Pilot-Mound and all those other games. But it's been good to get the rest here, and it's good to get back in the hockey mind frame here.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, we'll be covering two games this weekend. Here in Manitoba, the Pembina Valley Hawks 2 games. Of course, we'll have 2 games on the network as well, featuring the Swift Current Wildcats. But let's start off with the Pembina Valley Hawks at home for 2 games this weekend against the Winnipeg Arrows on Saturday and the Interlake Lightning on Sunday. Seth, you've done your homework on both teams. Start off with the Arrows. What you see the Arrows, posing as the biggest test, what they'll be looking like coming into Saturday's matchup with a 3-1 record against the Pembina Valley Hawks.
Yeah, well, they're a very, very solid team. I looked at some of their players, and they got just a whole load of players throughout the whole lineup that can put up points. They're well coached. They got a brilliant coach there, and they also got some great goaltending. So they will definitely be a very tough match to see or to have for Pembina Valley to go up against.
Yeah, for sure. The Arrows, Ashley Van Eglen, I've had a chance to talk to her many times. Like you said, an excellent coach. This team coached extremely well. Courtney Bays leading this team this season in points. She's been one of the top players in the league for a number of years now, ever since her rookie season back in 2019-2020, I guess. Since then, she's been a top player even then. But just speak about, Pembina Valley, what you think they'll have to do to match the speed of the Arrows, match their style of play on Saturday.
Well, yeah, I think you said it right there. I think they just got to match the speed. Obviously, Winnipeg, they have a lot of great, fast, really talented players there. Good defense core. What they got to do is they got to match the speed, and they got to try to neutralize it. Make sure they're hard on the puck. Make sure they're constantly on the forecheck, and just kind of shut down their top players and have their other players they have the shutdown players shut down their top scorers, and then get the Pembina Valley Hawks skilled players to do the rest.
Talking about the Interlake Lightning now, not going to be as big of a test for Pembina Valley, but a team that's going to be hungry to come in and prove something for sure. They don't have a win at this point in the season as of yet, but talk about what you've seen from just the stats, looking at the roster from Interlake this season.
Well, yeah, unfortunately for them, they are 0-5 to start this season. But, in their last game, they didn't do so well, losing 7-0. But I did see some bright spots. You do see some bright spots, even in big games like that where they get beaten pretty bad. Like, I did notice their goaltender, Caitlin Dorsch, made 44 saves on 51 shots, which, yeah, she let in 7 goals, not 71 goals. But, yeah, she still made 44 saves, and that's really, really impressive considering the skill on those other teams that they face. So, in order to get that winning record, they're going to look to players like their goaltender to have big games like that, as well as I think they're going to look to their leadership. Their captain there. They got Emerson McCauley, who's their team captain, and they got to look to that leadership role to kind of fill out, whether it's a goal, whether it's a good defensive play, whether it's a good offensive play, whatever it is, you're going to look to those leaders to kind of lead by example. And if they can play a very good game, I think the team can rally around them.
Of course, Caitlin Dorsch winning goaltender of the week in week 1 in the MFHL. Definitely one of the bright spots, positives for Interlake this season, as well as their captain as well. But talking about, Pembina Valley, coming off of a weekend of 2 losses coming into this weekend. They lost both their games last weekend. 2 losses coming to the last 2 undefeated teams in the league. A 5-3 loss against Yellowhead last Saturday and a 5-2 loss against the Westman Wildcats last Sunday. Seth, just talk about, from what you've seen from the stats, what you think went wrong for Pembina Valley to, come away with no wins this past weekend.
Well, yeah, they were going up against the two best teams in the league, and it can be a little nerve-wracking going up against these skilled teams. And I think that's probably what happened with the Hawks. They go up against these two really, really talented teams that have a lot of very skilled players, a lot of two good goaltenders, a lot of good defensemen on that team. So in order to find success against those good teams, it's like I said against the Avros, you gotta shut them down. You gotta be able to shut them down, like I said. And there has been some bright spots from those two games. I did notice in that final game where they lost to Westman, Annika Braun put up 2 goals to lead the team in points with those 2 goals. Players like that. And from the games that we've covered, at least I've noticed Annika Braun lots leading the rush often. So I think it's their skilled players like Annika Braun, like I said, and Tabry Martins that they're going to have to look to lead the offense in those games.
Yeah, for sure. And Annika Braun, I think she's established her signature move, the chip and go. She uses her speed. Strong girl out there as well. And yeah, definitely going to be a huge part of their success this weekend, I think, along with Cambry Martins. But just talking about this forward group now, not only do you have Cambry Martins, Annika Braun up there, but you also got players like Abby Bordedoui, the Anderson girls, both Caitlin and Jessica, and some other players as well. Just speak about this Pembina Valley Hawks roster, talking about their forwards first off.
Yeah, I remember those games we were covering, and I remember even when we were off the air, I was talking about how well I thought the Anderson girls were playing. They're kind of remind me of the Sedins a little bit. They just know where each other are, and they're constantly throwing great passes, and they're on the same line. Like they can do some deadly stuff out there. Like they both had multiple chances out in that game, like we saw, and Abby Bordedoui, she's just an excellent player as well, and she has that A. So a lot of the girls on that team probably look up to her to put up some offense, and she's had a very solid year so far. So yeah, to have those kind of players on your team that you can look up to is just great for that team.
Yeah, for sure. Those players have been, strong for Pembina Valley this season. They'll be looking to keep up their strong play coming up this weekend against the Avros and the Lightning. Speaking about the defense now, Captain Quinn McLaren has been a huge bright spot for them on that back end so far this season. You got a girl like Emily Foster as well. But as a whole, what do you notice about this decor with players like Quinn, like Emily, and the other players that they got on that decor?
Well, I noticed they all do the same thing, which is a good thing. They don't have a single really offensive, pure-minded player or defenseman. It's all two-way with them. I noticed that they're all responsible. If one defenseman joins the rush, the other one's back there watching, making sure nothing bad happens, making sure once the play breaks out that they're back there and they're ready for that rush from the other team. So I think their defense has been really good, and especially like we said about Quinn McLaren, she's a very, very big, she's very tall. She's so hard on the puck, and she's so fast and has this hard shot, and just really reliable defensively as well. When you got all these defenders that can be reliable defensively and help put the puck in the back of the net, it's really helpful for your team.
Yeah, for sure. Quinn McLaren, their final season with this team wearing the C once again, and she committed to university last season. I'm pretty sure it was Lindenwood. Can't remember quite what university it is off my head. I'm pretty sure it's Lindenwood. I'll check that after. But yeah, Quinn McLaren in her final season of U18 hockey looking very strong so far, along with some other players on this decor. Moving over to the Swift Current Wildcats now, the other team that's going to be in action this weekend on the network. They're actually coming off of a big home win in their home opener yesterday against the Regina Rebels in OT 4-3. For those of you that missed that game, you guys can watch it on ASTV Productions. We broadcasted it yesterday, but Seth, A huge win for Swift Current early on here in the season, taking down an undefeated team in the Regina Rebels.
Yeah, like you said, it was a big, massive win, and you see whenever you can get a big win on a great team like that, it really boosts team morale, and so they're going to be looking to add on to that. I've saw a few players already that I've been really interested in, like Jersey Wadene. She has 6 points in 2 games, or 4 points in 2 games, sorry, and 3 of them are goals. So you're going to look to goal scorers like that to put the puck back in the back of the net in this next game coming up.
Let's before we talk about their upcoming weekend, let's talk about that game yesterday a bit more. A pretty equal game. Looking at the stats, the score was 1-1 in each of the 3 regulation periods. Shots were 36-33 for Swift Current. And looking at the power play too, Seth, Swift Current went 1 for 3 on the power play, and Regina went 1 for 5 on the girl advantage as well. So both teams getting a power play goal, but both penalty kills looking fairly strong in that game. Just in a close game like that for a team like Swift Current so early on in the season with as much potential as they do have on this roster, just how huge is it to know that you can win in close games like this against a team like the Regina Rebels?
Well, yeah, if you can beat a really good team that has been championship worthy lots in the past before, it is really good for your confidence level, especially like you get that overtime win, you score that goal in overtime, you're really happy, and it's like you said, it's just really good to put down a big strong contender like that in Regina.
Coming off a weekend as well, this team playing in a tournament in Calgary, they ended up making it to the finals in that tournament, losing to another team in their league in Notre Dame. But just coming off that weekend, getting to play some strong teams here across the country in that tournament in Calgary. How huge do you think that was for the Swift Current team to get a trip like that so early on in the season?
Well, it's good to get I always remember getting those early tournaments in the season, and I always remember having a blast. And to go far in a tournament like this, like they did, and get to the finals like they did, man, that's got to be a real confidence booster, especially heading back into this regular season. They definitely got championship aspirations now.
Let's talk about this team now. The Wildcats. It's a deep team up front. Talking about their forwards first off, Ava Metzger, Jersey Wating, some other good players on this team too up front. Just speak about what you've liked from what you've seen on paper from the forwards so far this year from the Swift Current Wildcats.
Well, yeah, they're very active on the rush. We see how talented they are. We see the speed that they got. We see the shooting ability that they have and the passing ability as well. And they're just a big, scary team to go up against, especially with players like you said, like Ava Metzger and Jersey Watney. And there's just, if you can have these players that can put the puck in the back of the net like these 2 girls can, it's only going to help your team, and especially like their other forwards as well. Like I noticed who was it here? Kiana McNinch. She was very good as well, putting up the points that she did. So it's a group effort, certainly, and they've showed that they can put up points early this year.
What have you noticed on the defensive side from this team so far this season? What they've been able to do, defensively out there?
Yeah, they're just another group they kind of remind me of Pembina Valley a little bit. They don't really have an offensive star out there, but they got this reliability when it comes to defensive zone play, and they're very they know what they're doing in their own zone. They're able to block shots. They're not afraid to block shots. They're also not afraid to hop up on the rush, but they're also, always got their eyes open, making sure if there's a player that's pinching upwards, they got them covered. And, just making sure you have that shutdown ability and you can be able to block shots, like I said, and be active everywhere on the ice is just perfect for defense on this team.
Forgot to talk about the goaltenders for Pembina Valley, so we'll do that first and then dive into the Swift Current Wildcats goaltenders. But the goalies for Pembina Valley this season, Tria Enns and Kaylee Franz. We've had a chance to get a look at both of them so far this season, Seth, in the games that we've been able to cover. But yeah, just speak about, what you've liked from what we've seen from these two goaltenders so far for Pembina Valley.
Yeah, they've both been very good, and they're both really resilient. I noticed as well in that game that we covered where Pembina Valley scored the first 2 goals of the game, and the other team came back and scored a few unanswered, and they actually got the lead, and it was 3-2. We never saw, the goaltending just kind of break down and feel awful after those 3 unanswered goals. They both kept with it. They both stayed strong, and they both covered their angles, and they stayed very resilient, like I said. So you have these 2 goaltenders that can play well. It's really good to help motivate the goalies and motivate your team as well.
Yeah, for sure. Resilience such a huge advantage for a goaltender. If you're able to be resilient, no matter how many goals you let in, if you can continue to come out, keep battling out there, you're gonna earn a lot of respect from your teammates and from the other team as well. And yeah, definitely a huge part of what can make or break a goaltender for sure is a goalie with resilience. Talking about Swift Current's goaltending now. Aurora Van Warmer, the returning goaltender on this year's team. She was also named to the final U18 Saskatchewan provincial roster, so congratulations to her, as well as they got a rookie in Carly Leonard, and she actually got the start in yesterday's game and ended up getting a win. Talk about these 2 goaltenders looking like they got 2 strong goaltenders this season on their roster here, Seth.
Oh yeah, their numbers are very, very impressive. Right now, I'm looking at their regular season stats right now, and we got Aurora has the shutout, and Kaylee Lehner in her first regular season game was only let in 1 goal on 25 shots, and to show that kind of poise right off the start, to show that you're here and you're ready to be the goaltender for when the other goaltender leaves, it's just really excellent. We've seen from them that they're both just really, really good, and they don't show any cracks in the armor. They are constantly just in it, and they're patient, and they can cover their angles. They got just making great saves, and it's just excellent for those 2 goalies early on.
Talking about the upcoming games this weekend now for Swift Current, both at home against Prince Albert, the Prince Albert Northern Bears. Depending on what happens in their game tonight against Battlefords, they could be coming into this game looking for their first win of the year. But no matter what, if they are coming in winless or they're coming in with only 1 win, this team, I'm sure Seth, is going to be hungry to come in and prove some of the doubters wrong so far this season in terms of where they're going to be at as the season rolls along.
Yeah, you know what? You are definitely right, and especially because they're going up against a really good team like Swift Current. They're going to really be wanting to put on that early pressure. You see, with teams that maybe aren't as good in the regulars or aren't as good in the standings, you always see them make that early push against these stronger teams. So I'm expecting that with these upcoming games. I'm expecting these girls to really, really go at Swift Current hard here and to push for that win, because if they can get that win against a really good team like Swift Current, they're going to have all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, Swift Current right now undefeated coming into that Saturday and those Saturday and Sunday matchups. They'll be looking to keep it rolling this weekend. But one last question before we go here, Seth. In these games this weekend for both Pembina Valley and Swift Current, who do you think a player or a group of players are going to be to watch from both of these teams this weekend and to making an impact out there?
Yeah, for Swift Current here, I'm gonna go with Aurora Van Warner, the goalie. Like you said, I'm expecting, she's already had an excellent season so far, so she's going to be looking to stop this team coming at her. So I do definitely think that Aurora is going to be the player to look out for Swift Current here. And then for Pembina Valley here, I think it's definitely going to be Quinn McLaren there, because she's their captain. You look to your captain to always lead the team coming into these games, and she's just an excellent defenseman, and you're always looking to your captain to lead the team. And I when I played hockey, I always looked to, if we were going up against a good team or a team that was struggling, you look to your captain to lead the game, to get some good shots, to get the team rolling there, to rile everyone up and rile the troops. And I think she's definitely going to do that come these 2 games on the weekend here.
Yeah, for sure. Captain Quinn McLaren looking to continue her strong season and keep it going here this upcoming weekend against the Avers and the Lightning, and whatever game Aurora Van Wormer starts in, she'll be looking to continue her strong start to the season. Seth, thanks for taking the time on your newest segment, Seth's Inside Scoop, here on Coffee with Graeme. We'll see you next week to break down more of the games coming up this weekend and some other things too here on Seth's Inside Scoop here on Coffee with Graeme.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, Seth. You take care, man.
Yeah, you too.
And Seth Rock on the newest segment here on Coffee with Graeme, Seth's Inside Scoop, breaking down the upcoming weekend games here on the network, both for Pembina Valley, the Hawks, and the MFHL, and for the Swift Current Wildcats in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. Speaking of the Prince Albert Northern Bears, they're currently taking on, they're currently taking on the Battlefords team in the Saskatchewan League. That score hasn't been posted yet. Pretty sure the game is still going on since it started at 7 p.m., which is Sask time. So that game, I think, not even an hour in at this point. But yeah, after the commercial break, we're going to talk some more female hockey. Coming up, Jenai Buchanan, assistant coach of the Pembina Valley Hawks, coming on the show to talk about the team's past weekend of games, as well as the upcoming weekend of games that they got coming up here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions after these commercial breaks. Stick with us.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. You guys just watched the newest segment here on our Thursday evening episodes with Seth Rock, ASTV Productions, color commentator on Seth's Inside Scoop, where he breaks down the upcoming games on the weekend here on the network, as well as breaking down the teams, as well as touching on, the things that these teams did in their past weekend of games. But welcome back to the show, everyone. of course, if you're enjoying the show up until this point, be sure to share it or give it a like, give it a reaction if you're on Facebook. That way we get more eyes on these athletes and on our segments, more eyes on these teams here. That's the goal of just growing the eyes on these teams here in amateur sports in North America. Joining me now is assistant coach of the Pembina Valley Hawks in the MFHL. It's assistant coach Jenai Buchanan. Her team has 2 games coming up this weekend against the Winnipeg Abros and the Interlake Lightning. Jenai, thanks for filling in for Dana tonight and taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Talking about this team so far this year, you guys are 3-3, coming off of 2 losses, as me and Seth were talking about in that last segment, to Yellowhead last Saturday, 5-3, and against Westman, 5-2 on Sunday. Just talk about it and what it was like, seeing the team go out and play against these teams this past weekend.
Well, both Yellowhead and Westman are very good teams in our league. They're definitely going to be at the top of the league come playoff time. So Yellowhead, we played a pretty good, solid 40 minutes. Come out in the third, I think we were tied 3-3 at the time. Just the first 4 minutes is kind of what cost us the game there. But all in all, we learned a lesson that you have to show up for 60 minutes. And against good teams like Yellowhead, you can't make mistakes as they will capitalize on them. And then the Westman game, that was a learning game for us. We kind of came out flat again in the first 20-minute periods, dug ourselves a hole. But that was a character-building game. We didn't shut down. We came back strong, and I felt like it was probably some of the best hockey our team has played in those last 2 periods, especially grit-wise and will and want-wise for sure. We didn't just quit, and we kept on going. So a few lessons were learned last weekend, but those are a couple positives.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, against Westman, you guys got into a hole after the first 20 minutes, 4-0 after the first for them. But you guys ended up winning that second period, 1-0, and then it was tied 1-1 in that third period. Obviously, the result of that game being 5-2. But just talking about it, breaking down, certain areas of the game this past weekend, talking about the team's offensive play this past weekend.
This past weekend, it was not too bad. With Yellowhead, I think they got up a couple on us, and we just had to keep on going at it and our mentality is to get lots of shots to the net with lots of traffic. Both Westman and Yellowhead have very good goalies. As you know, they're on Team Manitoba. So with that being said, you need rebounds, or you need to capitalize on rebound opportunities, crash the net. I think we did get maybe a power play goal this weekend too, which is always helpful. But yeah, offense is coming. Defense comes first. Good defense leads to good offense. So.
Yeah, speak about the defensive play from this team now, just how the team looked like as a unit in the defensive zone, and yeah, just how the team looked defensively.
There's always things to improve on, but we are getting better each time we hit the ice. Passing is getting better. A lot of these girls hadn't played actual games in over a year, so coming back to full live 5-on-5 pressure from different teams is a lot different than practicing. So they're adjusting well, they're learning, and obviously there's still some things to work on, but we are improving every time we hit the ice. So
both goaltenders for you guys both got some playing time this weekend. Triennes, I believe she was pulled after allowing 4-on-12 shots in that game against the Wildcats. Kaylee Franz played in both games, got the start against Yellowhead on Saturday. Just speak about what you guys saw from your goaltenders in those 2 games. Obviously, in both games, you guys allowing 5 goals, but talk about, what you guys liked, what you guys saw from the goaltenders this week in both Tria and Kaylee.
Goaltending wise, you can't blame everything on the goalie, that's for sure. Both are working hard. They're improving also every time they hit the ice. The reason we pulled Tria was because it wasn't because of her play at all. It was because we need to spark something in the team to get things going, and I think it helped a bit. But yeah, no, goalies have been pretty strong for us. I know we allowed in 5 goals, but that doesn't go down on the goalies, it also falls on the players, in which we just need to be a bit better. But we are improving each time, and that's the key thing.
Yeah, for sure. Not always on the goalies. Like you say, a lot goes into it in terms of the situation that they're putting out there. If the defense is helping, but talking about this upcoming weekend, you guys facing off against the Winnipeg Avros, a team that's 3-1, a team that looking like one of the strongest teams in the league so far this year, and also playing the Interlake Lightning, a team that's going to be coming in hungry, I'm sure, on Sunday. Both games at home. Just speak about that, how nice it's going to be to have these girls back home in home environment this weekend.
Yeah, the home environment is definitely going to help. We don't have to travel as much, which can take a toll on people. Avos are a very good team. Saturday is our cancer care game, so all proceeds from the 50-50 and at the gate are going to Cancer Care Manitoba, which is a very good cause to donate to. Yeah, Avros are fast. We need to come with our A game. We are missing a few players this weekend, so that doesn't help. But we will come with the same attitude and mentality that we go into every game with, and that's to work hard, play our game, and outcompete the other competitor.
I'm not sure if you can tell me, but is there any chance if you could tell us who those players are going to be missing in this weekend's games?
Yeah, it's fine if I tell you. One is injured and one is away. Quinn is away, and Jeanette Grenier is also out.
Okay, so missing the captain, missing another player as well. Going to be interesting to see how you guys come out and play against the Avros with those players missing. But a lot of depth on this team. How pleased have you guys as a coaching staff been with just the depth that you guys have on this year's roster in all facets of the game?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually, because you don't get a team where you have 3 solid lines and 3 solid D pairings all the time. So we're pretty fortunate, and the girls are showing up every game and every practice. So it also helps to make our job a lot easier as well, with having such a good team with a lot of depth.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Depth, a key factor in a team going far in playoffs. That's for sure. And a team doing well, and you guys have that depth this season, along with some solid goaltending as well. Talking about just what's been worked on in practice this week for you guys. Heading into these weekend matchups.
Just a lot of battle stuff, a lot of passing, regroup, transition. We want to keep the compete level high within practice this week, so it can carry over to the weekend. So we did a lot of compete drills and in high intensity drills to keep the girls in it and wanting it. And yeah, so hopefully it carries over to this weekend.
Well, ASTV Productions will be there to broadcast both games. Can't wait to see these 2 games unfold. Jenai, thanks for taking the time out of your Thursday night and filling in for Dana this week to talk about the team the past weekend and the upcoming weekend and just the overall team in general. And yeah, best of luck once again to the team this upcoming weekend.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And that was Jenai Buchanan on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. The reason I said she was filling in for Dana Bell is originally I was supposed to have Dana on the show, but he was a bit busy tonight. So he got his assistant coach, Jenai Buchanan, to fill in. Great talking to her. And yeah, big weekend for them coming up against the Avros and against the Lightning on Sunday, of course, having some players out of the lineup, Quinn McLaren being away, which is going to be interesting to see that decor without her. And yeah, you know what, just it's Thursday and I'm already excited for Saturday. Can't wait to be on the call for both of those games. Of course, that game against the Avros for Pembina Valley is going to be going at 5:15 p.m. on Saturday. ASTV Productions, of course, will be there to cover both games. Like I said, I'll be play-by-play commentating for both of those games. And before the game on Saturday and before the game on Sunday, we're going to have a pregame show, just kind of giving you guys a preview of what to watch in the upcoming game coming up. players to watch, keys to the game, as well as starting lineups as well, and just touching on, what these teams have been doing in terms of the games they've played, the results they've had in the past games that they've played most recently. So yeah, can't wait to do that pregame show. Can't wait to call that game on Saturday. Of course, it starts at 5:15 p.m. And then looking at their game against the Interlake Lightning, I just got to get the schedule here to get the time exactly. I'm drawing a blank on what time it's at. I was just remembering it today, what time the game is at. But yeah, just looking through my email here. Just got to try to find it. Oh, why can't I? Oh, yes, here it is. So, yes, the Hawks, 2:30. That was the time I was thinking of. 2:30 against Interlake on Sunday. Both games at home for Pembina Valley, of course, this weekend. You can catch both of those games across our network at ASTV Productions, ASTV Productions on Facebook. Pretty sure we broadcast our games on Twitter too, so Amateur Sports TV there. And also on our website, astvproductions.com, and really anywhere else you guys watch our broadcasts. So we're going to take one more commercial break in this edition of the show. After the commercial break, well, we're going to take more than another commercial break, but after this next commercial break, I'm going to be sitting down with U15 male prep assistant coach Danny Carels from the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy Buffaloes to just talk about the U15s coming up here after the break on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Coffee with Graeme 2 days after their Sunday matchup against the Southwest Cougars for that exhibition game as assistant coach of the U15 male prep Buffaloes, Danny Carels. Danny, I got to start off by asking, where are you at right now?
Oh, I'm at the farm outside. I don't get much service in the house, and my Wi-Fi doesn't work if it's windy.
I see. Yeah.
In the bush.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's nice that we can connect here, and nice to have you on to chat about the U15s. Let's start off with this. How you ended up getting the job to be the assistant coach on this U15 team?
Well, I coached the Bantam AA team in our area for the last 6 years, and I'm always been a fan of the Buffaloes and their academy and their program they run there. So I was kind of in contact with Rod over the past few years, wondering if I could get involved with their program, and all of a sudden this came up and I jumped aboard as soon as he offered me the spot. So it worked out pretty good.
What's it been like being able to, come in to coach a team that has players that have never played together before this season with Pilot-Mound?
Well, it's kind of the same as the other teams I've coached. Come from all different areas and different regions, but the biggest thing was to get them bonding as a team right off the start, get them to know each other and their capabilities on the ice. And I think for the most part, they're getting along pretty good, and they're enjoying it.
Yeah, great to hear that. Obviously, not the start that these kids, the team has wanted, but definitely a work in progress. You guys are going to continue to progress and progress week in, week out, right? With the more practices, the more games you guys play. But let's talk about the positives on this team. Even though you guys have a 2-9 record in total games this year, talk about the things that stand out as positives on this young roster you guys got this season.
Well, I think we've come a long way in the last month already, just skill stuff and team stuff. Biggest thing I think that we stress on the players is not to get like upset about the scores, because at the end it's all about the skill development and development of the individual players. And I think we have a lot of room to grow as individual players and as a team. So I think we'll improve a lot over the year.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. The potential is definitely there from the players on this team. Just got to continue to work on stuff and get better and better day in and day out. But talk about the forward group you guys got. Of course, players that have stood out. A guy like Bo Murray, who's led the team so far in 9 games played. He wasn't in the lineup for that Saturday game that ASTV Productions broadcasted on Saturday when you guys took on the Edge. But guys like Liam Chartrand, Tatuni as well, Adam Kelly, the list goes on and on about the forwards on this team. But just speak about the forwards on this team. What stood out to you about them so far?
Lots of them are skilled. They all have different skills. Like, they all have things they have to work on and improve on. But like, you look at Bo Murray, I think he's got a lot of potential to get somewhere. He's got the size and the speed and the want. He's got to work on a few things, but he's willing to put in the time and effort. I think he's got potential. Same with a lot of the other guys. They're younger, but they got a whole another year to grow and develop. So lots can change.
Speaking about the defensemen on this team, Gage Sutherland and Carson Carels both contributing on the offensive side so far. The way things have gone so far, Carson had 2 goals in the Southwest game over the weekend. Gage picked up points in both of those games. Speak about those two and how they've been making an impact out there for you guys, both in the defensive zone and the offensive zone.
Well, they play big minutes. They see the game and they're well skilled. They see the game. They can make plays. They're very good on the power play. With either they're working together, if they're with someone else, they're capable of handling themselves and putting them in different situations. They don't really panic. So nice to see at this caliber kids that can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And they lead by example out there on the ice with those skill sets, no doubt about it. Talking about the goaltenders now, Keen Reed and Pete Moreau. Obviously, the stats don't look pretty for them so far, but they've shown some flashes of making those big saves, being able to bail the team out at points in games. Speak about just the play of Pete and both Keen so far this season for you guys.
I'm pretty happy with their determination. I think there's always some of those goals they wish they had back, but they're facing 50 or 60 shots a game usually. Like, we're trying to keep shots to the outside and make it easier for them, but they're coming up against a lot of skilled guys that are picking corners and with heavy shots. So it's a good step for them, but they're going to improve. They come to practice and they're working hard every time. So I'm pretty happy with how the goaltending has been and what it's going to be like. So,
yeah, for sure. Of course, they get to work with a goalie coach that's been through a lot of experiences, has a lot of knowledge in Gordy Tummelson. So definitely helps having a goalie coach like that, being able to help mentor them, coach them so early on in their careers. But talking about the team's results so far, 2-9 so far in all games played. There's been 4 games where you guys have given up at least 11 goals or more. Just talk about, the games so far, obviously not getting the results early on in the season, but what you've seen from the team in all the games so far that you guys have been able to play in.
Well, like you're talking about, like the RHA and the Edge, they're strong teams. They're all made up of mostly majors or 07s, and we're kind of half major minor. It's a big step for our guys. So when we play AAA teams that are kind of the same as us, I think we're kind of at that level and we can play with them, and we see the offensive opportunities that come with that. And then we just hope that they can do it at a faster pace and make quicker decisions against these stronger prep teams.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen them be close in games against a team like the Southwest Cougars this year. Of course, the first win in franchise history for you guys came in a game against the Yellowhead Chiefs. But talk about that, just being able to see this team getting their first win in the program's history of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy for these U15s. Just how nice it was to see them get that monkey off their back.
Yeah, that was a good game, but I think the game in Notre Dame was the one that should be mentioned, because it was just, it was discouraging the first game, but they turned around and they just came back and they worked their butts off and they earned the victory just through hard work. Like, just no quit the whole game, and the bus ride home was a lot more fun. But it's nice to compete all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And you beat me to it. I was actually just going to get to that Notre Dame game, of course. After, dropping the first one, losing big time to Notre Dame, this team able to bounce back and come away with a 4-3 win for their first ever CSSHL regular season victory in program history. Just to see this team come out after the performance they had the day before, getting blown out, to see them come together and rally to get that win. Just nice to see that type of character out of the boys so early on in the season, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Something we preach to them is just, you can't quit. Just keep, like, every shift has to be like your last one, or it's a 0-0 game. Even if it's 11-0 against the rink, you got to can't just give up. You're not going to develop by just giving up. So just that desire to keep going no matter what's the biggest thing.
For sure. Let's talk about the things you guys have been working on as of late, the things that you guys have found that this team needs to, be working on the most so far as of late, in terms of in practices and stuff like that.
I think the biggest thing is the speed and the skill development right now, just getting them up to the prep level so they're more confident on the ice. Earlier on, we're working on team stuff and getting them recognizing what to do in certain situations, and I think that's coming along pretty good. Now it's just to get them to do it faster and make quicker decisions. So
one game for the academy coming up this weekend against the Rink Hockey Academy U15s. Coming into this game, you guys have had a chance to play the rink so far in games this season. Just speak about what the mindset is going to be like for this team heading into this matchup this weekend against the rink.
I think it'll be pretty defensive mindset. Try to contain them, keep them to the outside. We'll have to capitalize on the chances we do get. They're a good team, but we're not going to shy down from them.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining me here on this Tuesday evening. Of course, this episode going out on Thursday when everyone is watching it right now. So when this episode comes out, that means we're one step closer to seeing you guys. For you guys being able to play that game against the rink. Best of luck to you and the team this weekend. Hope to talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks
for coming on. And Danny Carels joined me on this edition of the show, assistant coach of the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 Male Prep Buffaloes. Of course, they will be in action tomorrow against the Rink Hockey Academy U15s. That game going at 4 o'clock. Puck drop is at 4 o'clock. It's going to be at the Rink Training Center. So, of course, Pilot-Mound will be on the road for their only game of this weekend. In the previous matchups from these two teams so far in this 2021-2022 season, they both came in exhibition, and they were the first two ever games that Pilot-Mound's U15s played in. And it didn't fare so well for Pilot-Mound in those games. They dropped their first ever game in program history, 17-1. And then in their second game against the Rink, they played in a back-to-back that weekend that they played. They ended up losing that one 13-1. But Pilot-Mound looking to build off of their game last weekend against the Southwest Cougars, and hopefully trying to take a win in the home rink of the Rink. The Rink Training Center, coming up tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're going to throw it to one last set of commercial breaks here in this edition of the show. When we come back, I'm going to be back to give you guys some final words on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Of course, Danny Carels, assistant coach for the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 Male Prep Buffaloes, joined me to talk about the U15s on the show tonight. Of course, their game, like I mentioned before we went to break, will be going down tomorrow. Puck drop at 4 p.m. at the Rink Training Center against the Rink Hockey Academy U15s. Pilot-Mound's only game of the weekend in regards to the U15s. And yeah, hoping for Pilot-Mound to come out there and stun the Rink. But overall, just hoping Pilot-Mound goes out there and continues to get better, no matter what the score is, as long as they continue to build off what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to grow. It's only one step closer to them trying to get to that place they want to get to, right? So yeah, special thanks to Danny, as well as Matty Harold, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy alumni, as well as Seth Rock, the man on Seth's Inside Scoop, ASTV color commentator, and Jenai Buchanan, assistant coach for the Pembina Valley Hawks U18 female team, for coming on the show tonight and being the guest in this edition of Coffee with Graeme. A special thanks to you, the viewer, as well, for tuning in tonight, and a special shout out to our sponsors for sponsoring tonight's edition of Coffee with Graeme. We got some great games coming up here on the network this weekend on ASTV Productions. Of course, as you guys just did see during that commercial break, we broadcast all of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy's home games, the U15 team, the U17 team, as well as the U18 female team, as well as we broadcast all of Pembina Valley's home games too. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this weekend. Two big games for them coming up against the Winnipeg Avros and the Interlake Lightning, trying to improve their record in those two games this weekend. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, be sure to check out our broadcasts on Saturday and Sunday, not only with Pembina Valley, but Swift Current on ASTV Productions. Of course, you can find it on Facebook, our website at astvproductions.com, our Twitter, our YouTube, and anywhere else you guys watch our broadcast here on ASTV. I'll be back for Coffee with Graeme next week on Tuesday. We'll have another segment of Off the Wall with Cody Wall. In that episode, gonna have some other guests on the show as well. Gonna be all hockey, of course. That's what our lineup is now, just covering a bunch of different hockey leagues here in Manitoba, and of course the AAA League in Saskatchewan. Lots of coverage here on Coffee with Graeme with hockey leagues. It's a great time of the year to see hockey back and them playing games finally again, getting back to some normal in this 2021-2022 season. But yeah, you guys can catch that edition of Coffee with Graeme on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time on our Facebook, on our website, if we go live on our Twitter, and anywhere else you guys watch our episodes. And of course, just gotta leave you guys off with this. Like I've said throughout this broadcast, like the show, also share it as well. Feel free to do that if you enjoyed tonight's edition of the show, because like I've been saying throughout this episode, and I'll keep saying it moving forward, the more views the show gets, the more likes it gets, the more attention it draws, and it's just better for everyone involved. Great for us, great for business, and also great for the teams involved, the players involved, the coaches, anyone else we have here on the show, just of growing their brand, of growing their team name, and putting colleges, scouts on notice of what these talented players can do here in North America. But yeah, I'm going to sign off now. It is getting late. I want to watch the end of this Jets game. I currently got it on here in the background. It's currently 3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets in the third period. Crossing my fingers, we do not blow the lead tonight. And here's to hoping that the Jets finally get the monkey off their back and get that first win of this 2021-2022 NHL regular season. But that's going to do it, folks. Graeme Forsyth, host of Coffee with Graeme, signing off now. Until next week on Tuesday, folks, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday night. Stay safe out there and have a wonderful weekend as well. We'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out, everyone. Have a good night.